Thank you for joining this webinar. It's my pleasure to present ways in which Reach for Reading supports small group instruction. So the objectives for today are describing small group instruction, and then I will discuss the importance that small group instruction has in today's classroom, and then I will show how Reach for Reading supports small group instruction. What is small group instruction? Small group instruction is defined as a group of 2 to 5 students working together to practice a specific literacy skill, and many balanced literacy programs contain guided reading as the only form of small group instruction. The advantage that Reach for Reading has among the other programs is that besides guided reading, the program has created another form of small group instruction called the learning stations, and the guided reading part consists of various leveled readers that are both nonfiction and fiction texts, and the learning stations consist of various activities that students can work on in small groups that do not need to be guided by the teacher. And I will discuss both types in further detail throughout the presentation. Small group instruction is extremely important in today's classroom for several reasons. First, the demands of classroom instruction continue to increase because of a higher rate of English language learners, a higher standard level of instruction in order to increase test scores, and many students are below grade level. So in order to meet the needs of each student, it's necessary to differentiate instruction, and that is possible through small group instruction. Also, to maintain students' progress, it's important to monitor and adjust instruction based on the students' needs. Small group instruction allows teachers to not only monitor through observations, but also to assess to continue students' growth. A small group instruction encourages students to learn how to work in a team as well as fostering student independence, particularly in the Reach for Reading learning stations. Since it does not need to be guided by a teacher, students learn the skills needed to work together and remain focused on a task. And last, small groups alleviate the stress and the pressure for teachers that come from the difficulties to reach all students in one day due to large classrooms, and unfortunately that will only be getting larger. So next I will talk about the guided reading structure for Reach for Reading. First, there are various assessments given to determine which level the students are reading, and I will discuss in more detail about the assessments toward the end of the presentation. And next, there are also a wide range of leveled books to target each student's instructional level. So another part of the guided reading structure are the detailed lesson plans. And each guided reading lesson is designed to lead students to become thinking readers. It starts with a mini lesson where teachers can search for a specific skill they want to teach and then follow that particular mini lesson. There are activities before the teacher and students begin reading, while they are working through a text, and also after they read. And the lessons provide opportunities for students to make text-to-text connections, which relates to the Common Core standards. And also teachers can find conferencing tips when working one-on-one with a student, which is sometimes difficult for teachers to develop questions to ask students when they are reading, when they do not know the entire book. So they can find the conferencing tips in the lesson plans. And there are also activities to reinforce vocabulary and many graphic organizers to enhance comprehension. So during guided reading time, the teacher can do many different things. They can introduce the books, and there are suggestions in each lesson for helping the teacher do so. And the teacher then can monitor for fluency, comprehension, vocabulary during the small group instruction. Based on the student's needs, the teacher can guide the discussion and assess to see what the students need and to see what's next for the student. And everything is laid out for the teacher in detail. During guided reading time, the students have the opportunity to read and discuss a variety of genres, and Reach for Reading is designed to give students a chance to expand their content knowledge and apply their reading skills that were recently taught to make connections across texts, which is aligned with the Common Core standards. This guided reading time is vital for improving comprehension since they're being taught at their instructional level, and then they can fully grasp each strategy that's being taught. There are a variety of resources for guided reading groups, and Reach for Reading has a multicultural library, and research has shown that comprehension improves when it relates to the cultural interests and the needs of students. And it offers a wide variety of fiction and nonfiction texts. And Reach for Reading knows that students' ability to make meaning and understand all different types of texts is critical. And so it highlights an assortment of genres such as realistic fiction, science articles, photo essays, poetry, folk tales, and even digital texts. And in order to differentiate instruction, in grades K to 2, there's a variety of levels that are available for each unit, reaching students who are on, above, and below grade level. So in grades 3 to 5, there are different types of resources for guided reading. For the grades 3 to 5, the level supports students who are 2 years below grade level, 1 level below, on grade level, and also above grade level. And furthermore, there are also the National Geographic Explorer books for grades 3 to 5 as well. So there are many different purposes for the learning stations. For one, they encourage teamwork and allow students to practice working together towards a common goal. They also allow the teacher to focus on their own small group because the other students can work at different learning stations that are already in place for the teacher. Since many times teachers are creating centers of their own or giving worksheets so that students can work quietly and independently while they are working with students. But with this program, students can be working effectively and efficiently with other students. And with the constant technological shifts in education, these learning stations provide opportunities to incorporate technology with tablets, interactive whiteboards, and computers. They also give teachers another option for reinforcing skills to address students' variety of needs. And especially with the National Geographic website, which I will talk about in a few, students can monitor their own progress. And many of the learning stations provide opportunities for outside support. So parent volunteers can come in, or students in older grades can help out as well with the learning stations. During learning station time, the teachers can do many different things. They can suggest books for independent reading. They can guide and redirect students as needed. And they can also meet with small groups for either intervention, for reteaching, or even for acceleration to challenge the high-level readers. And also during this time, students can either read independently with a partner or even in a group. They can complete one of the learning station activities, or they can also work on assigned skills practice through the practice books provided. So Reach for Reading has many learning station resources, which I will get into in detail in the next few slides. But the first one is the interactive website, and it's called the www.myngconnect.com. And they also have the language and literacy teamwork activities flip charts, and they have the cross-curricular teamwork activity flip chart as well. So the MyNG Connect is the interactive website that's for both students and educators. This website can be used on computers, at home, or even for the flipped teaching classrooms. The flipped classrooms is a form of teaching where the teachers can create videos of themselves for a small group of students so that they have more time interacting with other students, since they show the video to that small group and they can work with other students at that same time. The website strengthens various skills through many different things. First, it has the comprehension coach, and that allows students to listen to fluent reading and answer questions based on what they read. Then they also have the My Vocabulary Notebook, where students can determine the meaning of words. They can find synonyms and antonyms for vocabulary words. They can make connections to the words and use it in a sentence. And they can also keep track of the words that they've learned. There's also games to reinforce vocabulary and phonics skills as well. and there are different assignments and tests given to students based on their stories so that they can monitor their progress and even test themselves. So each flip chart activity targets a specific skill. On each page there are a number of activities that actually have a symbol to guide the student and the teacher and to let them know if this activity is meant for independent work, partner work, or even small group work. And it'll actually have a symbol of one person on that page or two people on that page so that the teacher and students know what type of work that this activity calls for. For example, on a speaking and listening page, students can listen to a story, read the questions, and then talk to each other about the plot and the setting of that story. Another page in the flip chart consists of a writing activity where students can create lists, stories, poems, sentences, or even pictures that relate to a story that they had just read. And another flip chart activity consists of cross-curricular activities. For instance, say for example, if one of the activities has to do with social studies and map skills, students can practice those map skills by discussing parts of a state with a certain amount of rainfall, and then there are questions to discuss about maps with their partners. So that's just reinforcing the skills that they learned in different subjects. So now I would like to talk about the various assessments that Reach for Reading offers. And in order to promote small group instruction, there are so many different assessments that the teacher can give throughout the year so that they can create small groups, monitor the groups throughout the year, and even adjust them. First, there is a foundational skills test that establishes a student's knowledge of various spelling patterns, vocabulary, high-frequency words, and their decoding skills. Then there's the oral reading assessment that determines a student's fluency and comprehension. Next is the reading comprehension test, which has the students read a short passage and then they answer questions based on reading skills. For example, visualizing, making connections, and synthesizing the information. Then the vocabulary test determines whether or not students understand the content vocabulary through multiple choice questions. And then the grammar and writing test determines students' ability to understand rules of grammar as well as focus, voice, organization, and the development of ideas for their writing. So Reach for Reading small group instruction supports the Common Core standards for many different reasons. First, it incorporates cross-curricular and multicultural texts. It also includes rich content and academic vocabulary in all of their texts. And each small group activity encourages opportunity for group discussions where students can share their ideas and learn from each other. And the Common Core standards promote students being able to work with one another, practice their listening skills and speaking skills, and also problem-solving skills within small groups. And even the small group readings promote a close read of texts, which promotes higher level thinking skills. And each leveled reader contains a Common Core standard that it is aligned to. So teachers can look at the leveled reader and see what standard is that correlating to. And the assessments are aligned with the Common Core as well. In conclusion, Reach for Reading supports small group instruction through guided reading and learning stations. For guided reading, there are differentiated lesson plans to address the needs of all students. And there is a weekly and unit scope and sequence to help teachers plan their lessons. So the good thing about that is that everything is easily accessible to teachers, and there's detailed lesson plans so that it can help the teachers guide their instruction. There's also a variety of genres and types of fiction and informational text so that the teacher can choose what books will be of best interest for the students, and there's a variety of different texts that they can choose from. The learning stations contain various activities to address certain skills that are already created so that the teacher does not need to make them. And each activity contains a symbol to suggest how many students could participate in that particular activity. So like I was saying in the previous slides, there would be
a symbol that has one person to show that that's going to be independent work, or two people to show that that would be good for group for partner work, and then if there's a symbol with three people, then that would be good for group work. So that the teacher can look through the flip chart activity and tell the students, okay, this is the page that I want you to work on now because you're going to be working in small groups. And the other good thing is that the websites are personalized for both the student and teachers. So the student can go on and read their stories and even test themselves and monitor how well they're performing. So thank you so much for listening to the presentation, and I hope you enjoyed it.